I've been driving trucks for almost 20 years now. Cross-country runs, long hauls, overnight deliveries, you name it. You get used to the loneliness, the hum of the engine, the static on the CB, and miles of black asphalt stretching forever. But what happened on I-80 in Nebraska back in 2017, that is something I'll never forget. It was early November, cold enough that frost had already started to form on the windshield wipers. I was hauling a load of refrigerated produce from Reno to Chicago. It was around 2:30 a.m. and the highway was empty. I had my CB radio on channel 19, mostly to keep myself awake. Every now and then, a voice would pop in from another rig, just regular chatter. "Breaker 19. Anyone headed eastbound?" I asked out of habit. Nothing, just static. Then, about 10 minutes later, I heard something. A voice, deep, steady, but not quite clear. "Copy that, eastbound. Keep your eyes on the left side." I pressed the mic. "Say again?" Static. I figured maybe it was Skip, when a signal bounces weirdly through the atmosphere and you pick up some random station 100 miles away. It happens all the time. But the voice, it didn't sound distant. It sounded like someone was right there with me, sitting in the passenger seat. A few miles later, I passed a small pull-off area. And on the left side, just like the voice said, there was a car, headlights off, a dark sedan parked way too close to the lane. I slowed down, thinking maybe someone needed help. Then I noticed the driver's door was open, and nobody was inside. I grabbed the mic again. "Breaker 19, anyone got a visual on mile marker 312? There's an abandoned car on the shoulder." No response, just static. Then the same voice again, this time clearer. "Don't stop!" I froze. "Who is this?" I asked, trying to sound calm. Static hissed back, then a whisper. The same deep voice, but lower, almost thoughtful. "You were gonna stop. Don't." My heart started pounding. I hadn't told anyone I was going to pull over. I looked out the window and the sedan was behind me now, getting smaller in the side mirror. The road stretched out ahead, and for a moment, everything was silent again. I turned the CB down, tried to shake it off. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I imagined it. Then my dash lights flickered. The CB cut back on by itself, volume maxed. And I heard it again. "You can't help them now." That's when I floored it. I drove straight through the night, didn't stop till daylight. When I finally pulled into a truck stop outside Des Moines, I asked another driver if he'd heard anything weird on 19. He just gave me this confused look. "Channel 19's been dead all night, man. I've been scanning it since midnight." I laughed nervously, but deep down, I knew what I heard. Later that week, I read something online about a hit and run near mile marker 312. A dark sedan had been found abandoned, with blood on the inside door handle. They never found who it belonged to. Every now and then, when I drive through Nebraska, I keep my CB off, because no matter what anyone says, I still remember that voice, and how it spoke before I did. I was hauling steel out of Kansas City back in 2019 when this happened. Name's Royce. I've been on the road since I was 23, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the CB radio can keep you sane, or drive you crazy. That night, it did a bit of both. It was a Tuesday, just past midnight. I was eastbound on I-70, somewhere between Topeka and Columbia. There's a stretch there where the road cuts through farmland, no towns for miles, just fields and the occasional blinking tower light. I'd been running Channel 19, like always, talking with a few guys I knew from dispatch. Hawk, Junebug, and Lobo. We were spread out, maybe 20 miles apart, but we kept each other awake. At 12:47 a.m., I remember exactly. Hawk signed off to grab coffee. Channel went quiet. Then, out of nowhere, a voice came through. Low, calm, too calm. "Evening, Royce." I froze. No one on the road knew my name. Not unless it was one of my buddies pranking me, but the voice didn't sound like any of them. It had that flat, toneless drawl that didn't match a region. I keyed the mic. Breaker 19, who's calling me by name? Static. Then the same voice again. You missed your exit. My heart thudded once. I checked the GPS. I hadn't missed anything. Next turn wasn't for another 22 miles. How do you know my name? I said. The CB hissed, then cut off. I waited. The silence was worse than the voice. Then, after maybe 30 seconds, it came back, quieter this time, like someone whispering through a wall. You missed her, Royce. She waved. Now my hands were slick on the wheel. Who the hell is this? I shouted. Nothing, just that faint hiss of static. Then, I swear to God, laughter, dry, breathy, like someone laughing through an oxygen mask. I killed the CB right there. About 10 miles later, I saw flashing lights ahead. Police, 2 cruisers blocking the right lane. I slowed down, and when I passed, my stomach flipped. There'd been a wreck. A red sedan smashed against the guardrail. EMTs were covering the windshield with a tarp. And standing off to the side was a woman in a yellow coat, just staring. No ambulance staff near her, no other cars. She was completely still. When my headlights hit her face, she smiled. Not at the road, but at me, like she'd been waiting. I pushed the pedal, trying not to look again. When I finally checked the mirror, she was gone. No one on that shoulder but the cops. I pulled into a Love's truck stop about an hour later, still shaking. Decided to turn the CB back on, thinking maybe I'd imagined things. The radio crackled, then cleared. Hawk was back online, chatting about the wreck. I asked if he'd heard anyone call my name earlier. Negative, he said. I was offline 30 minutes. You talking about the voice that's been echoing through the channel? What voice? He hesitated. Man, never mind. Probably interference. Forget I said anything. Next morning, I looked up news about that crash. The driver was a woman, early 30s, wearing, I swear, a yellow raincoat. She'd been killed instantly. They said it happened around 12:45 a.m., 2 minutes before the voice called me. I stopped using Channel 19 for a long time after that. But every once in a while, late at night, when the sky looks just right and the road hums low under the tires, the CB flickers on by itself, and sometimes through the static, I still hear it. You missed her, Royce. Tom Grady. I started driving rigs back in '09, mostly westbound routes, Utah to Nevada, sometimes up to Idaho. You spend enough nights out here and the road starts talking to you. You learn which sounds are normal, the hum of tires, the click of the Jake brake, the hiss of the CB static. But one night in February 2022, that static started talking back. It was snowing over Donner Pass, and I was running solo, hauling machinery out to Sacramento, fighting through the storm with visibility so bad I could barely see my hood. I had Channel 19 on for weather updates, but the air was dead. No chatter. No voices, just that soft hiss like white noise in an empty room. I remember checking the clock. 2:11 a.m. That's when I heard it. Breaker 19, you got your ears on, Tom. The voice came through clear, like the guy was sitting in the seat beside me. I froze. I hadn't talked to anyone all night. I keyed the mic. Copy that. Who's calling? Silence. Then, you don't remember me. I frowned. Who is this? The CB crackled, distorted, then came back in a low whisper. Royce said you'd come this way. My hands went cold. I didn't know any Royce, but that name hit me wrong, like I'd heard it somewhere before. You got the wrong driver, friend, I said, forcing a chuckle. But the voice didn't laugh. It just said, slow and flat. You've all been here before. Then the radio went dead. I tried to shake it off, probably a prank. I'd heard weird stuff bounce off skip signals before, even overseas chatter once, but something about that tone. It was too local, too real. A few miles later, I saw headlights up ahead. A truck pulled over on the shoulder, hazards blinking, looked abandoned, snow piling on the trailer. I slowed down to see if the driver needed help. As I passed, I caught a look at the cab door. Someone had written something through the snow, just one word, drawn with a bare hand: listen. That's when my CB crackled back to life, loud enough to make me jump. "Tom," the voice said. I didn't answer. "Tom, stop the truck." I shut it off, heart hammering, trying to focus on the road, but the snow was so thick it looked like static itself. The voice kept talking, steady, calm. "It's not snow," it said. "It's them." I turned the volume down, but the radio didn't fade. It got louder, louder until the sound filled the whole cab, like 1,000 whispers buried in the static. I could swear I heard other voices layered under it, men, women, all murmuring over one another. I pulled into a turnout, hands shaking, engine idling, wipers scraping. Then I realized something. The CB was unplugged, no power light, no cord in the socket, but it was still on. That's when I heard another sound, outside. Slow footsteps crunching in the snow, moving toward the cab, someone circling the truck. I hit the headlights, nothing there, just falling snow and empty road. "Breaker 19, I said out loud, almost whispering. "Anyone else hearing this?" The CB lit up again, red light glowing on its own, and the voice came back. "Channel 19, it said, isn't for the living anymore." The static screamed, high-pitched, metallic, like feedback, and then went silent. The air felt different, too still. I sat there a long time before driving again. By the time I reached Sacramento, dawn was breaking. The snow had melted off my mirrors, and for a moment I convinced myself it was all some stress-induced hallucination. But when I checked my CB later that morning, the memory hit me all over again. Because carved, not written, carved into the plastic housing of the radio, right above the channel dial, were 3 sets of initials: RSLM TG mine. I didn't sleep that day. A week later, I was parked outside Reno, eating breakfast at a truck stop, when an older driver sat next to me. He had that 1,000-yard stare that all long haulers get eventually. We started talking, weather, routes, the usual, until he asked, "You keep your CB on?" "Sometimes," I said carefully. He nodded slow. "You ever hear it talk when it shouldn't?" I didn't answer. Then he said something I'll never forget. "They say there's a frequency out there, not a real one, not on the books, a bleed over between channels. Sometimes truckers who die on the road, their last call don't fade out. It just keeps looping over and over. Channel 19 catches it sometimes." I stared at him. "You mean ghosts?" He just smiled, a tired, knowing smile. "Ghosts don't call your name, son. They listen. That's worse." When he stood to leave, I noticed his jacket, a faded patch on the back that read Royce Logistics. He left his coffee half full, and when I went to ask the cashier who the guy was, she looked confused. "You mean the man who sat with you? Honey, there's been no one at that table all morning." I don't drive Donner Pass anymore. Hell, I barely keep the CB plugged in. But sometimes, when the night's too quiet and the road stretches flat for miles, I swear I can hear the faintest whisper through the static. Not a voice, not exactly. Just a feeling, like someone's on the other end of the line, waiting for me to speak first.